Okay. All right, that's not me doing this. Okay. Okay, cool. We're gonna do a karma lesson. We will be jumping into this in a second. Just want to make sure that I know where the mini-map is so I can kind of move myself around. You fixed it? Yeah, good job. Alright, so we'll do the lesson, then we'll be done for today. Then it'll be done today. Yeah, I think you had a privacy setting on it or something, like, where no one could view it. Oh, repercussions. What elo is this? The diamond border. Or like low diamond, high plat, right? Mute this. D5. Okay. Cool. We'll first start with the laning phase on Karma. I had to edit the video specifically. Okay. Alright. So we've got the push going already. Alright, so let's talk about Mantra Q, because this is actually a pretty important thing, and you need to make sure that you're not, Ooh, this is actually something I've seen a lot of people do as a mistake. So, you enter in lane, right? You enter in lane, and you have pressure on the lane. You're pushing in the wave. Don't stand out like this. The reason for that is, if you stand out on this side, you give all this space for the AD carry to move. Make sure that whenever you're in a situation, and you'll see it, I can actually use myself as an example. So, like, this is what you want to be doing. Oh my god, this is so cool. I can actually use multiple things at once. I'm excited for this. Alright, so you see how I am sitting in the brush and going back and forth, which limits the amount of space that the enemies can move, which also means that you have a bigger space to hit your Mantra Q in. See, right? I enter in lane the same time, but I take the right-hand side. And because of that, and if he's standing next to the minions, he has to stand in a concave like this, which means that hitting your Mantra Q is actually just significantly easier on the AD carry whenever the minions are low. Oh, that's so cool. I can't believe I have a fucking video like that. Alright, so that's why you don't stand like you're standing, because then what ends up happening is you give them too much of a concave to dodge, and you're not creating pressure in this lane. I'm fucking fully erect giving that lesson. It's so cool to have, like, fucking examples of what I want you to do. Feels good, man. Alright, so then you're pushing the wave. That's good. You're about to hit level 2. You should be surging forward. You're surging forward. So, in situations where you're hitting 2, yeah, pretty much. When you're hitting level 2, I recommend you actually skill up W in this situation, because you have a huge minion wave, right? You're going to have a huge minion wave, and you have Ignite. You should just skill up your W here, because you're going to hit level 2 way before them, and then you can get a snare. This means you'll get either a really big chunk in, or you could potentially get summoners out of that. But not a terrible trade in the end. Make sure to use your health potions whenever possible. Alright, so then we're looking at... So, the time whenever you pressure under a turret is basically as follows. Anytime they go for ranged minions, that means they're going to usually be in a concave where you can hit them. So, right, you both leash spot them. You're probably not going to get ganked by a jungler. You should just stand up here, right in this location, and then shoot down. That way, if he walks in a straight line, it's really easy for you to angle it so that the space is going to hit him at all times. It doesn't matter who you poke in this lane, by the way. You can poke either of them, and it's still, like, good damage. Because you actually missed a pretty good opportunity to, like, harass them a little bit more. And in that situation, if you had harassed earlier, you probably would have had your Q up again. Alright, so we're still laning. Good Mantra Q. We're walking up. This is also where having, like, W would be really helpful. So you've hit the Mantra Q, right? You're walking up. You've won the trade. Just step in and auto-attack him a bunch of times. If you step up and start auto-attacking these players, then your AD carry can surge forward with you and potentially set up a kill. Or at least get a 2v2 trade where it's advantageous, right? Because you've already hit this guy and done a ton of damage. You're waiting for Biscuit? Oh, okay. That's fine then. I didn't know if you were running Biscuits or not. I'm personally like I like biscuits, but man, I started coming back into the Chrysalis Resolve tree. I can't stop myself. Can't stop, won't stop. Oh, also going W is also really nice because then you can just put W's on people at short range and get mana flow band stacks too. Ooh, also a good skill to have, if you didn't know already, is the control level up skill. So whenever you want to skill up a spell, you just press control on whatever skill you want to level up. And it's a really good way to learn how to skill up like a lot faster in team fights. It'll be a lot more useful to you in the future, for sure. Also, another thing too is if you don't trade too much and you have all these potions left, you should just use your use your biscuits for mana. You already did that though. But then I also wouldn't shield the axe because you're gonna take HP damage anyway, and you're gonna recover most of it. Alright, so we're cutting backwards. We've got good wards in the brush. Your jungler's in the bot side too, so that's really good for you. So we take a little bit of a trade. Your jungler's starting to walk down. You should walk up. Alright, we use Mantra E. Alright, so let's talk about jungle setup, because even if you don't die here, this is really dicey. Okay, so if you didn't know already, two things. Mantra E is trash now. It got thrashed like really, really hard on its numbers. So unless you're in a big team fight and you want to shield like engage, don't recommend using Mantra E basically at all in laning phase. Just don't. Don't do it. Maybe you'll have a fringe situation where you do it, but for the most part, don't make a habit of this. The way this gank should go is as follows. Your jungler is walking down. He's beating the jungler, right? You should walk up and Mantra W and ignite the AD carry immediately. Now, if he's too far away, so like if you get him on max range, you need to flash on him immediately because you don't want him to flash out of the snare. You want him to stay in the snare. This also will allow you to not die potentially in a turn kill. Draven does a shit ton of damage, and using the Mantra W will heal you up, right? It'll increase the root duration, it'll heal you up. Your Q's already on cooldown, so Mantra Q is not an option, right? So like this right here, this should just be a Mantra W, and then if you need to, you can pop a potion and use a shield. Then once it tethers, you should just use Ignite immediately, and you should just be in good shape, because this shouldn't have cost you your flash. And this shouldn't be nearly as close as it is. And you can avoid a lot of that just by using your Mantra W when the gank is coming. That way, you're taking all the damage, right? But then you're also healing all the damage, and you're snaring him for a lot longer. Especially against champions like Draven. Dravens can, like, randomly basically flip a gank if you're not, like, really, really careful and you're a squishy champion. So it's, like, a really good habit to have in general. Also, side note, anytime that you kill a bunch of people, I know Jarvan's in the area, but you should walk up and hit the turret 2 times to get your Spell Thief stacks. Alright, so far so good though. Obviously some things for laning phase, but your lane's going pretty reasonably well. You are down on summoners now though, so that is something to note. So I just let the lane push into you. Once you start getting into the mid game, usually what ends up happening for me is I just play the mana flow mini game. Once like items start involving itself, and I just like try to Mantra Q people. Awesome. So you already know that shooting the Q on the backline will explode and deal damage. Just making sure that you're getting your mana flow like as much as possible is going to be like the goal in a lot of your lanes. Why isn't Lulu playing competitive? She needs too many items, needs to play lane really aggressively, and is easily gankable. Alright, so we're still laning. You've shielded. You've hit the Q. Alright, so you're playing a bit conservatively. Also make a habit of whenever you're pushing out like this, once you get push advantage, I just recommend putting your pink ward down here. That way you just always have a ward behind yourself, and so you also deny the ability for them to plant wards there too, so they're more scared of getting ganked. The higher the elo is, the more valuable this is. Like if you pink here, and there's a ward there and they lose that vision and they don't know where your jungler is, which they do right now, but like when they lose track of the jungler, they're like, oh shit, like there's a pink ward through lane, like he can gank through there, and it puts a lot more pressure on people when it comes to laning. And yeah, I think Lulu just takes too long to become relevant. Yeah, that's a pretty good way of describing it. And Arden's just like not that good anymore. Like its numbers are just like whatever. Okay, so far, like, you're hitting good Qs, lots of mantra Qs, solid. Like, these are all really good things. So you do have the positioning now. Obviously, you don't want to play too far up right now since you have no summoners and you don't know where the jungler is. So I like that you're playing reasonably conservative. We're still laning. Okay, we see the Jarvan. We see the Jarvan. We see the... Wow, that's just lucky. Like, that's actually just so lucky. Oh my god, he's going ham. Switch to the Draven. I did it! Okay, so let's talk about this. Because it looked like you did not have a mini-map in that scenario, and you're pretty lucky these guys are bad. So, first of all, this is why you want the pink ward behind you, right? But, here, I just want to, like, for purpose, right? I want to... That was kind of funny. I want to count 1, 2, 3, 4. There's almost 5 full seconds where you don't even know that guy's behind you. So a really good thing is some people have had like a thing that does like a tick or something like that. It's to help you with your mini map. Every time it ticks, every like 2 or 3 seconds. You're supposed to look at your mini map. So if you struggle with this, I recommend looking up something on Google like that. That way you can work on looking at your minimap more frequently, because that's way too long. And you're really lucky because you have no flash. This guy should literally just walk up and beat your head into the ground. Like, he just hits you once with red buff, you aren't getting away and you die. You're really lucky that they went for your AD carry. Anyway, so you play the situation like pretty good. You try to root, that's fine. But this is actually something people make a lot of mistakes with. When a gank is coming, sometimes you can't stop the ganker. So what you need to do is stop the damage after the ganker. So, for example, right? You're in a situation where there's 2 people walking forward and a jungler. You can't root this jungler. Like, you can't. You're not going to be able to root him if he EQs you. So what you should do is you should shoot a Q at the Draven, W him, and then walk back and forth based on how he's walking. So if he walks forward, you walk back. If he walks back, then you walk forward. If all you do is just do that for about 2 seconds, this Draven is either gonna get snared or get pushed back, and there won't ever be enough damage for your AD carry to die. That's why, like, when ganks happen, a lot of times what you'll see me do is if I think I can save him, I'll just walk past the ganker a lot of the time, and I'll shut down like the follow-up. Because if there's no extra damage, the likelihood your teammate dies is a lot lower. Because, like, imagine if you snare that guy. He doesn't get any of those autos off. Your AD carry is still, like, half life. Anyway, this is really well played. You get the snare on him. You're auto-attacking anyone you can. You switch targets. You miss it, but it doesn't matter. You have plenty of minions that are doing damage. So, yeah. Like, pretty good considering the circumstances, but I do recommend... working on something that gives you that helps you with your mini mapping, because that's definitely a concern, like how long it took you to find to notice that. And then same thing, right? Walk over, make sure you're hitting the turret. That's a lot of, over a long period of time, especially in the laning phase, that's a lot of gold to throw away. Plus it means that you're just that much farther away from getting your sightstone. Alright, so now we're working on Athene's. Wait, what did you buy? Oh, you bought a chalice. So if you didn't watch the stream, right, when I played Karma, I really just think it's much better to get Sork Shoes as fast as possible. It just gives you way more damage. Mantra Q does a shit ton of base damage. So, for future reference, if you're going to do the Athene's build, which I think is the right build to do, I recommend actually if you back and you're doing well, so this game you're doing well, right, that you just go Sork Shoes, and then just pick up like 2 Fairy Charms or something like that. That'll cover your Chalice later on, because the Chalice is not actually like useful to you. If you look at the item, like it just gives you health regen, and as a champion like Karma, like it doesn't matter that much. How often should someone look at a minimap? I mean, ideally is at least every 2 seconds, but you know, it just depends. For sure. Yeah, I'll probably look into that. Rip, I went CDR boots. Yeah, see, I liked CDR boots for a while, but then now that I've been going to Theans, I think it's just infinitely better that you go Sork Shoes because you just do way too much more damage. Yeah, I'll try and look into that and find that for you guys. If you're part of the Discord and I find it in the next day or so, I'll just post it under content. So just make sure you join the Discord if you haven't already. You can type !_ Discord for that. Yeah, metronome. That's what it is. It is something like that as a metronome. That's the word I was looking for. Alright, so we're still landing right here. We ate a biscuit kind of randomly. We're collapsing on this guy. You should just give yourself a shield. You should just be shielding yourself. I have a habit of this too. If you're like going to collapse on something, just give yourself the shield. That way you can catch up. Rather than trying to hold your shields for your teammate. By the time you get there, sometimes you can just be too late. Alright, we use mantra. Okay, we just like didn't use half our spells. Okay, so let's identify each of the parts, right? Number 1, you're walking over to collapse on your teammate. If you're going to collapse on your teammate, use your shield on yourself as fast as possible. The reason for that is you want the movement speed to get to this, right? You want to get to this as fast as possible, and you want this to be on up when you get there, right? So you want to just use it instantly. That way you can connect to this as fast as possible. So then this starts happening. So you're tunneling too hard, because you're tunneling too hard on this and not collapsing on this, which is causing you to walk back and forth and do stuff around here, which makes you late to this. Alright, so the fight is happening. You don't need to dodge this Draven ult, by the way. This Draven ult doesn't do anything to you. You're dodging basically nothing, right? Like, you want to be getting to the entrance to the turret, like, way, way faster. And then you mantra Q. You just never press W. You actually have this kill if you just press W. The whole time you could have just pressed W and killed that guy. That's why you don't want to juke things that don't matter, basically. In this case, like, you're just juking a Draven ult that's already hit you. Like, you should just walk through this. You should walk like this and use your mantra Q. You're never gonna be in a situation like that. Just trying to stop them from getting there. Yeah, but you can stop them from getting there just by throwing spells at them, like, when they start coming into the fight. You need to get to this location a lot faster. Because it also ruins your positioning, which is what I'm trying to tackle right here, right? Because, like, you're fiddling with this shit, and the fact that you're trying to dodge a Draven ult or something, you're in a position where Draven just gets to collapse on you and kill you for free, basically. Alright, so we get an amp tome. Ooh, also another thing to note, too, that you probably should have done is your potion. You don't use your potion pretty much at all on this. So the second that hits, you should just already have your potion running on top of not being in a position like this. And that actually might be, that can almost always be a difference maker in those situations. Anyway, good habits to build. Even if it doesn't save you that time, it's always a good habit to have. Alright, so we come back to lane. Still don't have our sights done right now. Your AD carry is getting fucked on. Alright, let's tackle this one part at a time, right? Draven is I get refillable potion after my first back almost always, but I always start with three health potions. So you walk up, you mantra Q him. Your AD carry kind of runs in. There's definitely some disconnect on whatever's going on here. No matter what you do, he's dead for sure. So at least you didn't kill yourself too. Okay, so your jungler comes in, you walk up, you root him immediately. You're getting some auto attacks in. I like it. Solid. At this point in time, you should just queue the back line. Don't do this. Don't do this. This is no bueno. If you want the minions, what you can do is you can do a cheating thing called prepping. Something I actually learned in Heroes of New Earth. So your Q will most likely put everything to about one hit, right? So what you do is you just auto attack each of these once and then shoot your Q, and then your Q last hits them. Because you shouldn't use your mantra Q, because your mantra Q should be for right now. Your mantra Q should have your mantra should be for killing this guy under the turret. I don't know what the fuck that guy's doing. I don't smoke enough weed for this shit. Alright. Then they get the turret. Good job. Alright, so now we're rotating over. Get a good, nice good mantra Q onto him. You need to be using your W a lot earlier and a lot more fluid. It's actually causing some problems for sure with your control. Okay, so now you're just walking. You're auto-attacking him. You should be able to mantra Q him after that. Well played. So this is pretty much you just trying to do too many things at once. I've actually had this happen a couple of times to me, so don't feel bad about it. Where, like, you're trying to save your AD carry, but you're trying to get a kill at the same time. Now, if you just... It's actually hilarious. If you just shield yourself, you'll stand on... You'll kill this guy, because you won't get out of range of you. You know what I mean? See how, like, he's out of range and you can't auto-attack? Yeah, so try not to do too many things at once, right? You're trying to save him, but you're trying to get a kill at the same time. Just focus. Just focus on one thing at once. So give yourself the shield. That way you can stand on top of him. That way you can get out of this. It's not that big of a deal, but just something to note. Because I have that problem, like, pretty often when I play champions. Like, champions just in general. Is I'm, like, trying to save someone, like, while trying to kill someone, like, while trying to do everything. Technically, yeah, true, but still, you know what I mean. And, yeah, we've already tackled the build path. Yeah, I think everyone's super guilty of that, right? Like, you're just like, I'm juggling too many lemons. You need to juggle one lemon at a time, alright? You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, life just gets too it gets too lemony, you know what I'm saying? Alright, so we're setting up Dragon right now. So, I have Rift Kit, right? Cool. I won't tackle this for too long. I'm just going to give you how you do wards, alright? So you walk. This is you, right? You're the support. You walk down here, right? This is the wrong way to walk. You always walk mid. Always walk mid right now, because you always want mid control. Next, you get a ward here. Next, you get a pink ward here. The reason for this is so that you have control of mid, and you can shoot skill shots over in case anyone's coming over to contest this, right? Then, after that, if you feel comfortable, then you can start moving in based on where you see people and get wards there. That way you have control of the dragon and vision everywhere so that you can see where everyone's coming from. Because if you look at your vision control right now, there can be wards down in all of these locations and they can easily walk in. Like your pink should just be here, your ward should be there. That's why you also walk mid so you can push out the wave, then swing down. Because you don't want this. See what's happening to you right here where you've created basically a dance. Because you don't go mid and clear this is why mid priority is basically like the bee's knees in all League of Legends, and it's why you see so much fucking ARAM in competitive games. Is because of this. So, you need to push out mid and then swing. It's waves before wards. That's one of the things I've been saying for a long time. Waves before wards. See how like this wave is just on your turret now? Like either you just lose a shit ton of CS, or someone has to go clear this, and then not everyone's at this. So this is why it's really important as a support. Walk down mid, get this pushed out, and then hold this position right here until your team is all around you, then go down to it. Because otherwise you get kind of in this situation, right? Where you don't have control of mid, so like someone can run down mid, like you're trying to do dragon at the same time, you know. This is just a fucky situation. Like, even if you get the dragon, it's just so much better to avoid it, and there's lots of easy ways to avoid it. See, like, that dragon almost got stolen, basically, in this situation, right? So you definitely want to be avoiding that as much as possible. One lemon at a time. Your lemon is mid lane. Then your next lemon is vision control. Yeah, ways before wards, though, for sure. How about a mid to late game warding guide? I'll have you know, actually, that will be coming out quite soon, and I will give you, if you stick around for the end of the stream, I'll give you a little bit of a teaser on it. I'll show you one of the big projects I've been working on. I'm fucking so excited for it. I will show you. You will like it too, and it will be available to a lot of people in the near future too. Teaser? Yeah, dude, today is a bunch of teaser reveals, actually. Like Loki, I've been showing like a lot of stuff that I've been working on, cuz it's almost all done, so I'm like kind of excited to share it. Same situation, by the way. This is literally the same exact fucking situation. Right? You don't have the wave pushed in? Guess, look what's happening, right? Look what's happening. They're pushing it down, and then they get to walk. This is also why whenever you want to ward, you always want a ward in mid lane. And that's why your ward is bad, by the way. So, basically, as you can see right here, right? The ward that you put over the wall, you don't want it like that. Let me show you how to do it. So, see this word? You want this word. And the reason for that is you can actually see the gray circle around it, by the way. Here, I'll do it with my mouse. Like, that's the circle. So the reason why you want... I don't know why that appeared. The reason why you want a word right here is so that it still sees over the wall. And that way it covers mid lane too. Because your ward right here... Look at that. That doesn't show mid at all. So what ends up happening right here is these players clear this. Waves before wards, right? And then what happens is you don't even have a fucking clue. You don't. I can tell you have no idea this guy came out of nowhere, right? Like you didn't even know that guy was coming. And so it's a good habit to have, like, your vision needs to be good, and that you need to clear waves beforehand. So yeah. All right, so you're dead again. Looks like you're building Redemption. It's not a terrible buy. I'm not crazy about it anymore. Thank you, Helio Bito, for the 2,000 bits. That was very nice of you. Oh, and it's not broken. Nice. But yeah, so that's definitely, like, that's why, like, your wards, like, need to be, like, pretty precise on certain angles. Otherwise, your wards don't have multi-purpose, basically. There it is again. There's that fucking ward. That ward's not good, dude. That's gonna be a problem. Alright, so the team fight breaks out. This is a good Mantra E. I like it. Shooting damage on whoever we can. We're just chilling right now for the most part. Oh, also another thing to note too. Don't make a habit. I've done this before too, so don't feel too bad about it. Don't make it a habit of carrying a fairy charm when you can buy a pink. The 125 gold doesn't matter at all. And you tease me by enabling Omega Lol. When this lesson's done, we can talk about it. I don't mind turning it on. Yeah, because you need a ward down this lane. Like, you basically can't see down mid. This is the problem, right? Like, you literally can't see down mid right now. And it's causing a lot of issues in terms of your ability to control the map. Which is causing you to then get pushed off. Which then is causing you to get jumped on. Alright. So, we're just losing the turret. There's not really too much you can do in that situation. Okay, we've used our shield on the wrong person. We're suiciding now. Okay, so we'll just... I don't know what happened to the quality. Quality kind of died. Just shield your Darius so he can get in as fast as possible. So it's actually good that I see this as a reoccurring theme, right? You hold your shield for too long. Shield is a really short cooldown. Just use it as fast as possible. That way it can be up as frequently as possible, so you can get most value out of it. Whenever entering a fight, just use it as fast as possible so that these people can get the movement speed to get into this team fight. Because you're holding it for way too long. Also, another thing to note too. 2, 1. Should just wait the half a second, then you can manage your shield everybody at the same time. Because then you just kind of run in and suicide. Alright. So we're pushing forward. Yeah, you only get 3 wards, right? So like it's pretty important that your wards are valuable. All right, and then let's make a habit of not running in point blank range to the Draven at that point in time. Once you've given your teammates the movement speed, you don't need to be that far up, right? I think this is silly. I think it's a good way to describe it. It's just, this isn't necessary. Okay, then we will jump. You miss those days? I don't think I miss those days. I do think that wards are kind of stupid right now, though. I think it is dumb that people can't buy them. I think that other people not being able to buy them is silly. That is something I have a beef with, for sure. Even if you made it so like a player could only have like 1 or 2 green wards on the map, unless you have a sightstone or something, I'd still be okay with that. I just think it's silly that you can't buy wards. I think the trinket ward thing just doesn't make any sense. Alright, so we secure Baron. We've used Mantra's Shield so we can mitigate damage. That's fine. Let's try to pay attention in terms of items, right? How many people there are. You see one there, you see one there. We see Draven over here. This is probably a mini-map thing. You probably don't actually know how many people there are, so you're dropping your redemption early, which is fine. Like, earlier is better than later, right? But in this situation, it's just a waste. Try to pay attention a little bit closer to your mini-map. Alright, so we've got Baron. I feel like the rest of this game is the enemy team just straight suiciding, and you don't really have to do too much besides give some people some shields. Okay, so let's talk about team fights. Let's talk about team fight positioning, right? You have this whole concave to work with. You hear a Cyanol. There's no way you don't hear the Cyanol, right? Use all this space to your advantage. So you hear the Cyanol, right? Don't walk towards the only terrain that locks you into a very specific spot. Like, look at where everyone is in terms of their positioning, right? Like, all of the enemy players are just there, right? They're all over there. You don't have anyone, like, coming down from top or anything like that. So whenever you're getting focused, there's two things you can do, right? You either absorb and flash, and your flash must go over terrain. This is something everyone's really bad at. If you're flashing, you better either be flashing an immediate skill shot or you're going over terrain. So in this case, right, you want to use this space. You want to be moving out on this open space and using it to dodge. You can dodge this pretty easily between your flash and your shield movement speed. If you don't do that, please don't walk forward into them. What you want to do is use the terrain, right? So in this case, right, you fucked up. Okay, it's fine. Like, you're next to a wall. Just cut down right here. And that way, if people are collapsing on you, boom, you flash over the wall. You've effectively utilized the terrain advantage that you have. But for the most part, like, the ideal situation is the team fight is breaking out and no one's collapsing on you. Utilize all of this extra space so that you can move around and avoid skills. Because basically, like, look what happens, right? You snare. Oh yeah, and then another thing too is your flash must actually dodge things. So like, look at what you're flashing. You're flashing nothing, right? You're flashing nothing. At least if you are gonna have to panic flash, you need to be flashing some kind of important skill shot so your flash gets value and absorbs cooldowns in team fights. Because look, even potentially just making not flashing until the Scion uses Q on you could have potentially actually saved you in that situation. So it's a good habit to have. Your flash. So basically, what I want to tackle is positioning. Use lots of open space so that you can be dodging skill shots. And then if you can't, make sure that you tight yourself next to terrain you intend on flashing over. And then also on your flash, make sure you're flashing something. It doesn't matter if it's, something not super useful, like a Scion Q. That doesn't sound really super useful, right? But it's like, at least make sure that you're flashing things that are getting value for you in team fights. Because basically right there, you're low-key into the fight. But your team is like so far ahead that they, you know what I mean? Like, you don't feel the repercussions of something like that. Alright, so now we're grouping top. We've got the Baron. this point in time, you should just stand really far behind everybody and just wait for an engage to happen, and then your first spell should just be Mantra Shield, and then you just kind of take the fight from there. Well, I mean, the thing is even if you're a tank support and you can't contribute to actually pushing the wave, just being another body there means that your teammate can walk up and clear the wave safer because you just have more people there. You know what I mean? Like, they're less likely to engage on you if you just have more bodies there. It doesn't matter what champion you have. All that matters is just having numbers. Alright, so we're walking around right now. We're just chilling. Okay, we bought 2 more pinks. Solid. Don't have to go over that. Next Baron's coming up pretty soon, right? We've got a minute on it. Alright, so I want to look at how you do vision, and then, oh, never mind. Maybe your team just kills everybody and ends the game. We're hitting the turret. You manage your shield your whole team. Solid. At least you know the mantra shielding part of the situation for the champ. Okay, so let's talk about wards. The farther vision is out, the more information you have, right? So, you need to drop a ward right here. That way you can see people pushing out mid and potentially walking as far as possible. The reason why you like wards like this brush, for example, is just because it gives you more information as soon as possible. So just make a better habit of getting wards down as you're scooting backwards. That way you can keep track of people a lot better. Just so you can control and see where people are going at all times. Alright, so rah. Teamfight breaks out. You're snaring whoever's in front of you. Just cutting backwards. Super good. Shield him again. We're hitting Qs on whoever. You have a mantra again. You're waiting for the shield. Perfect. Good snare on the rise. Your team is raping them. And you win. Okay. So, things I just want to talk about, like tackling points, right? Talking points. Laning phase positioning, as we've seen from this, right? Being the brush so that you can change concaves. Team fights, make sure you're jumping over terrain, you're flashing things. Vision control, we talked a little bit about that, like where you're placing wards and how you want to do it. Always walk mid, clear the wave, then get the vision down. Waves before wards. Do you have any questions or anything like that that you thought I might have missed, or talking points that you want, Reaper, before we close out this? Let me see if I can pull up my teaser for today. I do have my teaser. Appreciate the lesson, learned a lot. Alright. Why does he play like such a beta? Actually, he played reasonably aggressive, honestly. It's better to keep wards on Baron than switching them to Dragon, even if you won't be doing Baron anytime soon. Yeah, because usually you can get catches and stuff like that. Not covered everything. Okay. Cool. Alright. So, before we close out for today, I've talked a little bit about it. I've been working on with a company called Udemy to produce some content. It's going to be a full gameplay guide for Alistar. And someone mentioned something about mid-game warding. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a teaser, just a little bit of what it's going to look like, some of the stuff that's going to be in this full, like, 2-hour long Alistar guide. So I'm going to show you about, like, 2 or 3 minutes of it. Hope you guys like it. Let me turn on the audio. Yeah. I did not edit this, by the way. I do not do the editing. So now we'll be tackling how to ward in the mid-game. So we're going to be tackling a couple of stages of setups. So first we'll do each of the objectives, Dragon and Baron, and then we'll talk about how to set up vision when neither of these objectives may be up. So let's start with Dragon vision. And for starters, we'll be doing the blue side first. So a lot of times when you want to set up Dragon, there's pretty much a primary focus of the situation. If the turrets start to die down and there's no turrets here, then I recommend that you walk to mid first. The reason for this is it gives you the easiest access to then walking down the river and getting vision down for your team. In most cases, you basically want your warding situation to be such as this. You usually want to ward over this wall, That way you can see whenever players are walking over in any way, shape, or form. If the mid laner is starting to push over and maybe wants to ward over the wall, or if anyone's coming through this corridor, you can always see them. That way you can utilize this brush and this brush to potentially shoot skill shots over there when they're coming in. I recommend that you try to get a pink both here and here. Now, if you're a support, it just depends on the amount of pressure that that's going on. So, in a situation where you can push up mid extremely hard, and you don't have to worry about maybe the mid lane turret is dead, and you don't need to worry about the mid laner walking down and potentially walking through the river,